Hey everybody, today I'm going to make my own vintagey washi tape with a jelly plate and some paper tape with a gummed backside. That means the glossy side has some water activative glue, and when you go on top with water onto the glossy side you will get that sticky. Before we start, make sure that you will print your jelly prints on the right side of the tape. In my last video, it's been a while, someone told me in the comments that she accidentally printed the gummed side, so that can end up a bit annoying. So I am checking before I start which side is the paper side and which side is the glue. My white paper tape is from Clairefontaine. I buy it in my online art supply shop here in Germany. I don't know where the brown tape is from, but it's best to search on Amazon for these tapes, so you hopefully can find them, or on Google. For the jelly printing, I'm going to use some of my handmade texture plates, which I've made with our stencils and a die cutting machine. And there is a tutorial available, and I will link that underneath in the description. And here you just saw the colors I'm going to use. I have a raw umber here. I also will use a burnt sienna, a Naples yellow reddish, and a black. And I just start with a tiny amount of color because I want to create a little bit of a pattern on the plate. And I also don't want to overdo it with color because today I want to make some vintagey washi tapes. In the last washi tape video, I made some quite colorful ones. I will link this up in the info box or in the end cards, so you can check that out as well. I'm making the pattern on the plate with the texture plates I've just showed in the beginning, and I really love how this works, and it's such a nice technique where I always come back to and experiment with. Of course, you can use any kind of way to make a pattern or texture on the jelly plate. You can use stamps or the stencils directly. I just do this because I love that it's not messy. The texture plates can be thrown away once they are covered completely in acrylic paint, but that takes a while, and then I can just make some new ones with the stencils and the die cutting machine. I now lay on top a big layer or a thicker layer of Naples yellow reddish. It's quite a light color. I use it as a replacement for white, especially because I want to have a vintagey look. And I might had not waited long enough before I applied that layer, but that does not really matter because it should be just a vintagey colored background. And now I try to work quickly. It's very dry here and the color will dry quite quickly, and I'm just printing the paper tape strip by strip. You will see the final tape later in the video. I just don't have the time to turn everything around and show you because then my paint will keep on drying, and I will get a lot from that plate to make the longest washi tape that's possible with one print. I will now here I decided to print the top on the half of the washi tape and then turn it around and print the other half, and that's quite a big deal, and I will not do this again. It's just it's a lot going around with the tape on your desk, so especially when you have other things next to you that might go in the way of your tape. I now try to make some ghost printing, and some of the paint comes still off, but not a lot. Now I hit my camera. Oh yeah, that's a bit of an act, I would say. What I really like is that I have quite a lot texture left on the plate for a second round for another tape. And I'm going to cut this one off because as longer it gets, the more complicated it gets. So I like to not have this. So I'm cutting that off, laying this to the side to dry or hang it over something, and then I will make a second one. This time I'm also using black just to experiment with that. I'm not sure if I will like it, but I think that could give me quite a grungy look, especially together with the textures that I have still on my plate. And I again use a texture plate to make a pattern so everything looks a little bit interesting, not just plain color. I waited a little bit for this to dry, so I don't move the paint that is on the plate around too much, and I'm covering it up with the same color that I've used before, the Naples Yellow Reddish from Amsterdam. And for the last bit, I try to get as much color off the plate as possible. This also gives often very interesting and rough textures. I also cut this off and lay it to the side to dry, and now I want to try the brown paper tape. I know that's not my favorite because first it has some texture on it that's a little bit, yeah, it's not my favorite, and also because of that color, it just is quite dominant, I feel, so I prefer the white tape. But I thought for a vintagey look, the brown might be perfect. I started with the burnt sienna here, and I'm making some marks into the paint, and then I will cover it up with the light color. There is a lot going on already on the jelly plate, so I think it's unnecessary to add more. Here I'm just making some wind to dry the paint. That's also some nice, a nice thing to do with the texture plates, just drying your paint on the plate. I will now go on top with the light color. I always use the same, the Naples Yellow Reddish. I really like that, not only for vintage prints instead of a white, because sometimes white is too hard, I feel, and an off-white color looks a bit more harmonic. And now I will print that brown tape. It's a bit bigger as the white, and I was afraid that I might get that line that I got from printing the white onto the brown, but as there is quite a lot of color on the plate and the brown is also a bit dominant, that does not show up, and that was not a problem at all. Here I try to fill areas that are empty with the leftover paint off the plate. I will now cut this also off and hang it over something. I usually use my desk lamp and let that dry a bit so I can stamp the washi tapes. And some of them curled a little because of the wet paint, but that doesn't matter. I just placed it under 2 rulers so they lay as flat as possible. Once we are rolling them up to store them, they will become flat, so that's not a problem. And I picked stamps from our Mix It Up 6 and 5 stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp them randomly all over the tapes with some black ink. Of course, you could use some brown ink, especially for vintage stamps, or you can use different inks. That's really something where you can experiment with. And last time I made some colorful washi tapes with other stamped images, not vintage images, and also with different colors. And I used them quite a lot. I used them for my collages in the background, but also they are quite nice to cover cardboard boxes, especially from a smartphone or whatever you have. You can cover these up and then you have some nice storage tins, and that's also something fun to do. I will now speed up this part because that took me quite a long time to get all these tapes stamped. Of course, you could stamp each tape on its own, but I think it's a bit more time saving when I do it all at once. And I did not film the whole stamping of the tapes because it's just always the same, and I think it's not necessary to record that. I don't know, I think it took me half an hour to finish these. But it's quite a fun part to fill and arrange the tapes. I'm usually starting with the bigger stamps and then fill in the gaps with smaller ones. Once I'm done with the stamping, I will let these tapes dry again for, let's say, at least 12 hours. Although they feel dry, the acrylic paint needs some time, otherwise it will stick together, and then when you wanna open the tape, it might not be possible. So let the tapes dry long enough. I have some empty rolls from our shipping labels, and these are perfect for handmade washi tape. And I just glued the end of the tape to the cardboard, and now I'm rolling the tapes up. And I roll them quite strong, and that's the reason why it's very important to have these completely dry. Of course, I will share some projects with these tapes over on the blog in the future, so keep an eye on that. And I will show you the other two tapes, which I have already rolled up for an Instagram reel, but I will just film them for you so you can see how they turned out. I'm closing this one with a normal piece of washi tape so it does not open. And here you can see the two other tapes. I will open them for you so you can see how they turned out. I'm happy with them. I think they are so lovely and perfect for all kinds of paper crafting stuff or collage. And I think they will be also perfect for junk journals. If you have any other ideas what to do with washi tape, please let me know in the comments. I would be really interested because I bet there are some really cool ideas that I have never heard of. And here is the other one. It's a bit more chunky and grungy compared to the first, to the one on the top. It's more black in it, but I really like it. Yes, that was my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it and you are inspired, and I hope we see us next time. Bye!